Hi everybody, this is Rahul Bhavsar. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to sell Microsoft 365 in 2020. I'm going to share with you the key strategies and the sales approach for both small business and enterprise for selling Microsoft 365. By end of this video, you should be in a position to effectively sell Microsoft 365 to your customers. I'll be uploading cloud content every Wednesday. If you want to stay updated, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to stay updated on the new videos I upload. In my 20 years of sales and entrepreneurial experience, I've spent 11 years in cloud business, and whatever I'm sharing today is coming from my personal experience in coaching and helping sales professionals and channel partners, helping them to sell cloud products and solutions. So now let's get into the computer, go through the presentation on how to effectively sell Microsoft 365 in 2020. So let's get into the details. The first thing I want to talk about is a quick name change of Office 365 to M365. They have changed everything to Microsoft 365 now, but the most commonly used Office 365 SKUs in the small to medium business was Essentials and Premium. Now it's called Business Basic and Microsoft 365 Business Standard. The rest, the enterprise SKUs are already there. It was launched, but now the whole lineup looks very consistent, easy to communicate to the customer, easy to position to the customer. So that's one mention I wanted to talk about to begin with. So the next thing I want to talk about is the segment you should be focusing on. And when I say segment you should be focusing on, don't take the product straight into the market and go to everybody. If you have your sales teams, you want to basically group them with small business focus teams as well as separately an enterprise focus, because these two markets, two segments are really, really different in their sales approach, in the way you close the deals, in the way you work with these customers and position these. And that's exactly what I want to talk about. So the first is small business and small and medium business. There are specific characteristics which I'm going to talk about, and then there are specific characteristics I'm going to talk about the enterprise. So have your team grouped, or at least have a clear approach to a small medium business and a separate approach for an enterprise business. Don't mix that up. Don't position a wrong SKUs to the wrong type of segment. Small business SKUs are the business basic and business standard, and all the E3s will go there in the enterprise. So, as I said, I want to continue to maintain the consistency in explaining you by segment. As you can see that it is small business and enterprise, two segments. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk one by one what matters to each and every segment, and specifically at what point in time you cut off from small business and enterprise and move into the enterprise with very specific things you want to focus there. So the first thing is emails. Of course, this is one of the core things which the M365 lineup offers, and email is very basic and it's expected. It's taken for granted. It's default. So that should not be the leading thing. It is definitely there. So every customer understands, expects that it will work, and it actually works. So the email systems, be it attachment capacity. So all those things are taken for granted. So don't lead with email as one of the key features and functions of M365. Email is there as the primary core thing of the system, but don't try to deep dive too much around that, because that's not a big USP to make the difference to a customer. File sharing, and that's another simple word which you want to ensure that your customer understands, and you talk about that. The reason I've highlighted that into a different color, because that really is a business problem, and it matters to both small business as well as enterprise. And you want to talk about OneDrive is a great solution. It has come a long way in terms of the way it works, in terms of the way it syncs. So it's really a finished product today. You want to take that and bring that as one of the key things that you're solving a problem of a customer. Don't sell features, sell the benefit, sell the solution which you're giving, what problem you're solving of the business. And it's a business problem, it's not an IT problem. IT has always been given a solution like a file server, and business has to deal with it. But this is a business problem of effective file and folder sharing internally and externally. Both of that matters to a business, and talk about that. That is another important factor to differentiate and position to get the a client to look at M365 as a solution for their customer, for their business. The next is collaboration. Again, I've highlighted that in a different color to get your attention. In collaboration, you definitely want to talk about Microsoft Teams. That is the big thing happening. That is the way the entire collaboration has changed with Microsoft line of products. So talk about Microsoft Teams, and I will definitely be recording a dedicated video on how you can lead with Teams to crack that deal with the customer. And that is something which is really important. But Microsoft Teams is the one which is you want to lead with as a collaboration within the teams, within the organization, small group of people, chatting, video, online meeting, you name that. There is a whole list of things which we can talk about Microsoft Teams. The next piece within collaboration is SharePoint. It has really come a long way. There used to be a time where I used to hate SharePoint to the core, but now I really like it. It's so super easy. It really is aesthetically good. So combination of OneDrive, SharePoint, Microsoft Teams is the place you want to get the attention of your customer. You cannot miss these things. If you are not talking about these three things in depth or about 70% of your time, you are grossly missing out on the services which you could offer to your customers. Mobility. It's not a dedicated feature which Microsoft really brings it up, but this is one of the things as a USP of moving to a cloud-based solution. And Microsoft has really done a good job there in terms of getting into the mobile devices, all of their apps. And it's a big thing when you really look at it from a customer's perspective. An employee can be productive on any device, any application, anytime, anywhere. And that's the thing you want to sell. And you really want to talk about all of the applications which is available on the devices. The mantra there is work from any device, anywhere, anytime, and full productivity is there. You don't have to stick to your laptop. So that's another important thing which matters to business, and don't really miss on these things to highlight to the business. And finally, on the business which we want to touch upon is the backup and archive. So small, medium, SMB customers really cares for all of these key things, as well as the enterprise customers. But there are a few things which I'm going to talk about, which enterprise cares, but small business doesn't care a lot. And what I want to leave the thought is that all of these things which I have highlighted, which is emails, file sharing, collaboration, mobility, and backup and archive to a certain extent, is all business discussion, which means you want to have these conversations with your business people within the customer, not the IT people. This is a business dialogue. You want to have that conversation in a business way to position this to business people. The next piece is security compliance, single sign-on and integration, Power Services. When I say Power Services, it's Power Automate, Power BI, Power Apps, and then the device management. All of these buzzwords are super interesting for IT. And when I say IT, it's the enterprise IT department, because they are worried in control, they're worried in security, they're worried in audit. All of those matters. And you want to have conversation around that piece with the IT, which means what I'm trying to tell you is when it comes to small business, just lead with business discussion, business pointers, and you should be able to make the sale. When it comes to enterprise, you cannot just lead with business. IT will have to be there, which means you have to have two sides of conversation, business on those business points, IT separate discussion, separate things specifically dedicated for the IT related discussions in terms of gathering requirement, positioning, providing that confidence that yes, we can help you solve all those things and all those challenges, and get you the right solution. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the services and the positioning of services to both the segments. Again, small and medium business and enterprise. The first service which you want to talk about is implementation services. This is basic. You have to make money out of this. If you don't make money out of this, then there's no point in selling a license. It will become one more company selling license at like 1-digit margin, and you will never be able to make profits out of it. You have to provide implementation services. Implementation services is about getting the requirement done, doing some project management, getting that cutoff time in place, and then really having a smooth transition. That is all included and should be there in your implementation services. It's a decent amount of effort, and you want to charge that to your customer. Make the customer aware that this is valuable services. Migration is important. No company in this world today, if they are having an existing email system, they will not have any data. They will always have data, which means there is always something to migrate. Again, don't only think about email migration. Think about email and files and folders. These are two key things which you want to migrate. And there are tools available. There are BitTitan, there is SharePoint. These tools are available. Use those tools and bring those tools price in the proposal. Don't do a donkey job of putting a person and doing manual work there. Again, if the customer is not willing to pay, you want to definitely make that thing aware to the customer, saying that we are not going to migrate. But if the customer expects to migrate, do it the right way by telling and educating the customer about the tool, or have the customer to do the donkey job of saying you can actually go and put the data manually back into the system, and that will take time. The highlighting color which I'm bringing in here is this service, which is workshops and training. I used to call that and recommend that as training and change management, but I think the modern way of doing things is workshops and training. And this is about helping the customer adopt the entire suite of products and services which Microsoft 365 offers. There is no way a customer can figure out on his own how to use Teams effectively, how to put SharePoint in practice, how to use the Power services or any other services which will definitely be beneficial, and he has already paid for it. So you want to basically start with workshops, and you position these. Each workshop can be priced by hour or by session. And then workshops is generally for business management people, where the department heads, leaders come talk about their business problems, and then you work with them as an engaging session and come up with a strategy which basically becomes the baseline for you to go and run these training sessions for the employees. Now, of course, these training sessions should be in the modern way, which means you conduct it online like a webinar. You record those sessions and you give it back to the customer, where they can keep referring these things for all new employees coming in. Good place to make money. Don't miss this out. If you don't have somebody to do this, get somebody to really start doing it. It's a simple service, but it's really effective, and customer will appreciate that. Support. Microsoft gives the support, but I can tell you, you must charge a little bit amount of money to provide support, because customer is going to call you, not the Microsoft. Customer has bought from you, and he's going to call you for any problem. And most of the time, the problems may not be with Microsoft. It is something which you need to help them out. So you want to continue to figure out how to charge this to your customer. Now, as I said, all these things matters to both the segments, but beyond this point, whatever I'm talking may not matter too much to the small and medium business. It will only be effective for enterprise. So that's where you want to start differentiating what you want to talk to a small business and what you want to talk to an enterprise. Managed support, managed services. These are things which really an enterprise cares for. The difference between managed support and services: managed support is all about going ahead and even supporting your customer's end user, whereas managed services is really monitoring proactively. And you guys are better experts who are in the MSP business. But If you're not in managed services or as a MSP, then don't worry. Just go and offer a managed support, which is basically going beyond IT and supporting the end users of the customer. Development services. Not every company I know, not every channel partner I know that has a development services. But if you have somebody who can develop, then that's a good service you want to start packaging, because there is a lot which you can do. API integration using Power Automate. There is Microsoft Forms using Power Automate can go into any other platform. Power Apps is another place which you want to look into. Power BI is another place where there is development services. SharePoint is another place where you want to look at development services. And finally, there is all sorts of security solution comes with Microsoft 365, which is the security audit, the implementation, and that is something which is an advanced and enterprise cares for that. So again, position your services based on the type of customer, but these are things which really matters. I've sold the email and collaboration solutions to thousands and thousands. I think personally I've sold it more than 70,000 seats so far in the last so many years within the Middle East. But all of these things are things which matters to the customers, but by segment. Finally, I want to talk about sales approach. Let's talk about small and medium business first. What should be the ideal sales approach? These are like 5,000 feet. There should be something in detail. I put some questions for you as a sales qualifying question. It's in the last slides of the deck. You can download this at the end of the video from the description below, and you can figure out what else you want to add that into that. So let's get started on the sales approach. The first thing you want to do is to, as I said, target the right segment and the persona. Irrespective of the segment, you want to think about persona. So one is segment, which is small, medium business and enterprise. Persona is who is that individual character in the customer's organization you want to talk to. I would stick to only two kind of personas right now without getting confusion in too much, is business persona and IT persona. Business persona means anybody in the management, CXO level, GM, director level, but they are on the business side. Those are business persona, and then there is an IT persona. As far as small business is concerned, SMB sales is concerned, I would strongly recommend stick to the business persona to have the majority of the discussion. Business will bring the IT in between, but you still want to lead with business there. Understand the business challenge. Don't start dumping your proposal. Don't start putting the pricing. Customers are becoming very smart. They will get to the price pretty quickly. Give them the price. Don't resist, because it's not a rocket science. They will figure out the prices. So give them the prices if they are bringing that, but ensure that you are understanding the business challenges. You qualify the customer, position the right plan, right services. Presentation demo is the most important step. If you miss this, even in a situation where customer is super clear, you want to get 45 minutes or an hour at least from the business key decision makers. And again, don't make a mistake of just demoing to only the CEO, the key decision maker. Ensure that the other department leaders are also part of that demo, because you want to talk about various departments as a use case: HR, finance, sales, marketing, because all of these departments get touched when you deploy a collaboration solution across the company. Do the demo. Don't stick to slides. You don't want to spend more than 10 slides, and you want to spend your 75% of the time in doing real demos, showing them how it can transform their business into a modern business. And of course, remaining thing is you put the proposal, put the pricing, ensure that you explain the services, the importance of the services, quote the service, and close the deal with the services. So how is it different for enterprise? It's very similar, except one or two different steps, and there are certain changes. Everywhere you will see in business, I'm ensuring that you talk to business as well as IT. You don't want to ignore IT in the enterprise sales. IT department, the CIO, CEO, or CTO is really, really important in the play. Understanding business challenges as well as IT challenges is critical, because you might end up striking a good balance on the business side, but if there is a blocker on IT, they will block that. So ensure that you have both the type of people, both the personas in control, and you understand their challenges and position that. Qualify again based on the way you want to qualify an enterprise. Presentation and demo here, but important step, trial or a POC, proof of concept. But if you get into that situation of POC, ensure that you sign a conditional POC, which means you define what is the success criteria, and if you get those success criteria completed, you want to convert that POC into an order. And that's the best way to actually put a POC with us. You are going to put your effort to make that POC run and working, and you might actually go and invest in some cases for the licenses as well as time and effort. And you don't want to just leave the decision after that to the customer that, oh, I like the POC, but I'm not going to place the order. No, you don't want to do that. You really want to ensure that you have that conditional order in place, saying that if I am able to show you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, you will basically convert this into an order and you will place that order. Get that commitment. And of course, close that. So that's the sales approach I would suggest as a strategy. And this is something which I would recommend you to go ahead and apply that for small business and enterprise in your markets. It is not something specific by geography. So every country, every region should be able to manage this, and you should be able to effectively close Microsoft 365 with your prospects. Now that you've gone through the approach and strategy on selling Microsoft 365 effectively to your small business and enterprise customers, I would really encourage you to leave your comments and suggestions below. And if you want to share your experience, please do that. Also, I've left a link below in the description to download the deck which I presented, as well as the sales qualifying question for selling Microsoft 365. So go ahead and download for your reference. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button to stay updated on my channel.